Hey gamers, it's Wintermute here from Grind This Game, back with oxygen not included. And this is still the Rocketry Upgrade. I haven't started a new base in the new space industry upgrade just yet. But I've been busy for the last 1,000 cycles or so. We're pretty close to cycle 4,000 here. And I'm just going to go through a lot of the changes I made in the base. There's been a lot. So what I usually do is I let the base run for overnight for 100 or 200 cycles, sometimes more, depending on how fast things are going. See if anything breaks. Sometimes things break or get kind of messed up, and then I try to fix them. And sometimes I roll back, which is some people consider cheating, but maybe I'll just show the oxygen changes first. My oxygen setup has changed a whole lot. So it used to be distributed. It used to be up by the 3 anti-entropy thermonullifiers. So there's one on the top right here. There's one far left, and then there was one at the very bottom down here. So instead of having 3 different setups, I consolidated it here. And it's pretty crazy. There's a lot of piping. There's a lot of cooling. I had so many Weezeworts, I figured I could do it this way in one place instead of distributed. It makes it a lot cleaner and easier to work with, so just kind of show you here. So before I had 6 electrolyzers kind of distributed, 2 in each nullifier. So I've got actually 7 here. I found I was not getting just enough oxygen, but this all goes into a storage tank. This giant storage tank up here, which has close to 20 kilograms of oxygen per tile. And let's just check out the piping here. It's pretty crazy. So I used to have filters on each of these 2 pumps, but I figured there's no point because I could just send it all into this room near the top. And any hydrogen that collects at the top gets sucked out and sent off to the hydrogen generators up this way. And everything else, oxygen, just kind of floats down. Now the temperature in here is pretty good at 20, and then I've got extra cooling just to cool it down even further. I don't probably need that. But the oxygen coming out is around 13 degrees, 12 degrees. Got some deodorizers in there. There's not any polluted oxygen going in there anymore, but and this is kind of maxing out in terms of overpressurizing. Oh, we got cycle 3999 coming up. So this is just for emergencies. Like if anything ever goes wrong, we've got this giant reserve tank. And I could have used the new tanks here. These things, gas reservoirs, and I do use those in the bases in some places. But I figured one giant box was kind of fun to use. And I used to have the water going in many different places. But now I've got one giant central storage tank. So all the water geysers dump into this tank. And it was kind of close to this level here before, almost near the top. But it's slowly going down. If I leave it running overnight, it's pretty stable. But we have a little bit of an emergency thing here. So if the water level falls to right here, then we turn off this bottom set of oxygen generation. And that will kind of conserve the water. Because we've got this giant reserve tank, we should be fine. I don't think I'm using it faster than I'm kind of making it. It is bloody hot in here. It's like 90 degrees. Oh, cycle 399. Now, saving the game is like super slow now. Check it out. It hasn't crashed, but probably recording at the same time is probably not good for it. But anyway, this whole box is abyssalite, so none of that heat can get out. And I'll just show the piping here. So we've got water coming from up here, from this geyser. There's a natural gas geyser here and a water geyser. Steam geyser? Water geyser. Yeah, this thing puts out a lot of water. So it sends the water down this way. And this is also kind of an emergency thing here. If the water level gets too high... Actually, I just realized this isn't quite necessary because these will back up and stop. But it would take the water out and dump it into space right here. And where it will disappear. Probably not needed. I can probably take that away. So that's the oxygen setup. You can see it kind of going into the base here. So it kind of branches off. Some goes to these set of suits, and it's just distributed kind of through all these vents. Now the base itself is overpressurized, so not overpressurized, but it's at almost 2 kilograms per tile. So the dupes are nice and happy. Some of it kind of trickles down this way. I used to have some suits here to get into the chlorine room, which is where I store my food to kill all the germs. But I figured they can walk through this water and not get too stressed out. The stress has been close to 0, so they're fine when they go in there. They get kind of cold and from the water sometimes, but no hypothermia. Oh, soup was just hiding in the floor there. I put in a rec room at the bottom just in case stress ever gets up. Massage clinic. But like I said, stress has never really gone over 1 or 2%. So what else is there here? Changes since the last time. So I ripped out all the oxygen making out of these areas just to simplify everything. My piping here is still a complete disaster. I can kind of explain it. I used to have a cooling loop down to the gold volcano, but because we have so much gold now, we have 146 tons of gold, I just capped it off and removed all the cooling loop that was there. I was using this 30-degree polluted water. I think it's 30 degrees. Yeah, 30 degrees to run a cooling loop through this. This used to be immersed in water, but I just capped it off. I don't really need it anymore. And I actually have too much polluted water building up sometimes, so I put this little extra valve here, vent, and this is dumping down through these mesh tiles down into here. And my plan is to fill this up and then maybe crack it open to the magma and just flash bake everything here. I kind of want to just... I'm running out of projects because we're so far into the game now that I just want to like cool all the magma. And I tried to do that over here, and that's kind of working. This is all cooled. This is cooling. And all this hot gas, it's just venting out this chimney that I built hundreds of cycles ago. So all this hot phosphorus, it's just making its way up this way. Now there was a bit of a... It was cooling at this point not so long ago and then raining back down, but now it's making its way all the way up. Oh, is it raining here? No. It is making it all the way to space. And then it's just getting destroyed out in the vacuum of space. Oh, it's raining down here. This is what I'm talking about. It gets cool enough to turn back into a liquid and falls back down. This area is super hot. 280 degrees. So let me zoom back out here. Show all the different heat areas, show all the different overlays. Okay, there we go. So oxygen overlay. My oxygen tank here. This is a petroleum tank. I used to have a tiny petroleum tank and I kind of expanded it because I thought I was going to start overflowing petroleum, but that hasn't been the case. There's not much oxygen out in the other areas where they run around. Then we've got temperature over... Oh, we got CO2 kind of building up at the bottom, but that's fine. Because the dupes only go out here in suits. Now temperature, it used to have a hot spot on the top right here, but that's just slowly cooling down. I took out a lot of the pathing just to try to reduce lag. Oh, actually, I think we're about to hit cycle 4000 here. So maybe I should look at that. It's super hot in this petroleum room, but it's all sealed in abyssalite, so none of that heat is getting out. And then we've got our cold areas where we grow sleet wheat kind of in the wild. Maybe I should zoom in for this cycle 4000 tick over. Can I go in full speed here? Oh, yeah. There we go. Now this save's gonna take a while. I can't remember if I had these farm stations in here last time, but I do have 2 fertilizer makers. And I'm chronically running out of fertilizer, but that's okay. We're keeping up with the food. It was actually, it dropped down to 400,000 because a bunch of food rotted before I moved it over here to this chlorine. This Drecker room, they're just eating the bomb lily in here and pooping out phosphorite. I pick it up with an auto sweeper. It doesn't cover the whole area, but it picks up the phosphorite. Cycle 4000! Woo! Yay! I've never actually made it to cycle 4000 before. So this is new ground I'm breaking. If I can get to cycle 5000 before the next update is out, I'll probably just keep going with this base until the update's out. I just want to show you one thing here in the save. You can see that there is about... Okay, let's see here. There is about 5 or 6 minutes between each cycle. And that gets slower and slower and slower as the game runs. When you first load it up, it uses about 3 gigabytes of memory, and then it climbs to about 8 gigabytes, and it actually crashes sometimes without the crash screen. It just kind of silently crashes after running it for so long, but it did run for 9 hours last night without a problem, and then it crashed. But anyway, this is the Drecker room making phosphorite. The phosphorite gets picked up and sent along down to the fertilizer makers on a conveyor belt down this way. Down right here. And then there's a loader where it takes the fertilizer and sends it up to our bristle blossom farm. And amazingly enough, these 2 bristle blossom farms are enough to feed the colony, plus some naturally growing sleet wheat. That's out here. There's some out here. Some of it's too cold, so I'm gonna have to warm it up a bit here. But I think it's mainly bristle blossoms that are feeding them. And if you look at edible here, you can see there's some gristleberry left that they haven't eaten. But it's mainly stuffed berry and occasionally pepper bed. I think they eat the best food first. So that's what's going on there. This is my power generation room. And I found a kind of a bug with the power, actually. I'm consuming, if you go into the power overlay and look at power consumed, I'm usually consuming like between 4 and 8 kilowatts. But I'm only producing... Whoa, it just spiked to 6. But you can see produced is always lower than consumed, pretty much. Which is kind of interesting. You would think that the batteries would get drawn down completely if this was the case. And I watched this for a long time, and I actually disabled a lot of the power. Like, I disabled the petroleum generator. And power consumed was always greater than power produced. Now, I did see a bug report in the forums about power production being on the same line. Even if it isn't getting fuel, it still somehow magically makes power. I think that's that bug in action here. Because like you can see, consumed is almost always higher than produced. And power stored just kind of doesn't really go down. And like I said, I disabled a bunch of my power and it still worked without being drawn down. So it's kind of weird. But I'll just explain the power. I explained it in the last few videos, but hydrogen's our primary source of power here. And if it runs out, then we switch to natural gas. Down here. And if we run out of natural gas, we use petroleum. And we're kind of struggling here. I think I've used up a lot of my natural gas. I've got a bit of a storage room here for natural gas. Or storage reservoirs. And then if the petroleum runs out, we swap to coal. And if we run out of coal, there's always good old dupe power. So I've got a dupe power generation room here to the right of my hatch rooms. This has never been activated, but this is the... If things go wrong, they jump in here, start generating some power. Oh, cycle 4000, that went pretty quick. Now I'm doing a little experiment over here. I saw a post in the forums about performance and people were saying reduce the pathing, it speeds up the game. So I've got a little prison here and we've got 3 inmates, inmate 1, 2, and 3. And I kind of built this room and then I restricted the access so that only these guys could go in, and now they're locked out. They can't go anywhere except for this little prison here. And I could be shipping food in with a conveyor, but what I did instead was I have this little visitor room. Don't crash game. This little visitor room here, so all the dupes but these 3 inmates can go through this door and deliver food to this little fridge. which doesn't hold much. It holds 5 kilograms, 3 kilograms. On a super high priority. So this fridge is always full with enough food for these guys to eat. I guess there's girls and guys. And there's not much for them to do in here. They got some entertainment. They can generate some of their own power. And their morale seems to be high enough. The CO2 just falls down into this room where it gets dealt with. If the CO2 builds up here, we've got some automation. If it detects carbon dioxide and the pressure's over a certain amount. Carbon dioxide and the pressure's over 50 grams. It sends it over this way. So carbon dioxide comes this way. And it goes into our new Slickster room, which I redid. The problem with this room, last episode I moved all my Slicksters up here. And the problem was that it wasn't hot enough, so they almost all started turning into long hair Slicksters, which actually don't make any oil. And they also eat oxygen, and they don't eat CO2, which is kind of not good. So I had to heat this area up. So I've got a space heater here with a little driblet of oil to help cool it. And if it falls below 71 degrees, it starts to warm it back up. And we've also got a tepidizer in here to warm up the oil, which warms up the room. This doesn't really get used anymore, though. Actually, it probably does click on once in a while. So CO2 from all the power generation comes in this way at a decent temperature, 50. But these Slicksters actually have to be... Let's just see here. Where did I see their... Oh yeah, so if you want molten Slicksters, have the temperature above 100 and less than 250. If you want long hair, have it between 20 and 60, which is what it was initially. And if you want regular Slicksters, keep it above 60 and below 100. So that's why I have it at 70 in here. And I'm getting pretty much all regular Slicksters now. Now, they weren't able to eat the CO2 fast enough, so I have another set of automation here. If the pressure goes over 2,000 grams in the room, it sends it up this way. And I could be scrubbing it, but I'm just sending it off into space and where it disappears. So it's a bit of a resource that I'm wasting, but... Like, I could use a CO2 scrubber and generate polluted water that way, but I prefer just venting the extra stuff into space. Now, these guys aren't really here to make oil so much. They do make a tiny amount, but they're mainly for just eating CO2 and occasionally making meat. I think they make meat once in a while when they pass away. I did have an oxygen line in here. Actually, that's not... I did have an oxygen line in here for the long hair Slicksters while they're in there, but that's since over. I tried restricting access out of the base to reduce pathing, but I had some issues with that, so I wish you could copy settings on doors, because you have to manually set them, and it's a lot of effort to reset them on different doors. We're still making occasionally a little bit of petroleum here. Little bits of oil are coming down from this new thing over here, which I added. Since I had extra water, I did put in an oil well. It's chugging away. These things, they build up pressure, and then once they hit a certain pressure threshold, the dupes have to come in and pull a little chain, and it's going to happen pretty soon, actually. It's at 68%. Yeah, so they come in here, they pull the button, natural gas flies out, and then I have a little pump here. If the pressure is above 2,000, we pump out the gas, have a little filter out natural gas, and send that off to our natural gas storage system. So in the future, I think all future bases, I'm going to have these central collection points for natural gas, for water, for oxygen. I kind of like the way how it simplifies things. And it gives some buffer, so if things start to run low, you got a bit of a buffer. I did say I was going to crack this open. Maybe I'll do that this episode. This is all abyssalite except for this little bit here. Maybe I'll let them in and start making some steam. Yeah, let's try it. Make a little ladder for them. Now, if you're wondering how I dug out these giant areas of the map, I basically just build scaffolding, kind of like this, in a grid, and then dig out the area, and then go back and remove the ladders. It takes a long time, but it works. Okay, now all this heat is going to get out, but I want to dig out. I want to get to the magma here. Maybe I'll do it down here instead. How hot is this? 268 degrees. Yeah, maybe I'll go down this way instead. And this is going to cause a bit of an explosion. That'll be fun. That'll cook into steam. Steam's going to get out here. I should probably cap that off first. Maybe I should put an airlock here. I think I will. Let's do that. I'll still let the water get it. Actually, forget the airlock. I'll just see what happens. What priority is that? 5. Maybe I'll make that a 9 or an 8. So they actually do it. And we'll get some steam. Hopefully it doesn't flood all the way up to the top or we're going to get water everywhere. There they go. Now some of this abyssalite is super hot. Like this piece here is 268 degrees, so it'll start boiling right when it hits this. Even though it shouldn't, in theory, because it's abyssalite and it doesn't actually transfer heat, but thermal conductivity is 0. It shouldn't behave like this, but it does. There goes the steam. Whoa. It should condense and just kind of drip back down. Maybe I'll put some cooling around here. We've got lots of Weezeworts left. Stick some Weezeworts here, just for any steam that might get out. And this might plug up with dirt. It's possible. Now it's gonna get too hot in here for them. If when they reach the magma here. But I'd love to like dig down and get into below the magma, but there's all this neutronium in the way, you can't get past it. There they go. Ooh, there we go. The heat is released. That should just bubble away. This will all cool down eventually. And we'll get some clean water in the process. Should be nice. Oh, don't die on me. Don't die on me. I should probably pause my recording when the game saves, because I think it's fighting for disk. I should probably get a second SSD, one for game saves and one for recording. Okay, that's bubbling away pretty fast. And it's getting mighty hot in here. Get some Weezeworts in here. Pronto. Oops. Just copied some blank settings. I think this just caused a massive amount of lag. That's okay. I seem to do this at the end of all my bases. Cause giant magma eruptions. Okay, what are they doing in here? Oh, they're grabbing all the igneous rock from previous building. Okay, that's fine. It's not that hot. 100 degrees. So we'll get some more Weezeworts in there. That'll cool any steam that builds up here. What else have I done? More base tour time. Just dug out these massive areas. Now these are all sealed off, so the dupes can't get in here. air can get through, but the dupes can't get. The dupes can get in this little piece here, but all this is restricted now. And there is some wild. I didn't see this before, but there are some wild slicksters in here, just chewing on the CO2. Minox chewing on the cables again. Yeah, so they're in there. That's good. I don't think they'll be able to eat all the CO2, so we'll probably have to vent this into space. Or just let it build up. It's not really hurting anything. So this is working pretty well, actually. 114 degrees. We can't let it get too hot. We'll never cool it down again. But how many Weezworts do I have? Let's see here. We got... egg, what am I looking for? Seeds. We have 27 wart seeds left. And that's from going to the ice planet over and over. I think I did about 10 trips to the ice planet. Here's my petroleum tank. Petroleum goes in here, and then it comes out here. And I'm actually using the warm petroleum to heat up my pinch of pepper net farm, which is actually quite small. It used to be bigger, but there was too much pinch pepper nut building up. And let's see here, cooking ingredient, we have 2,100 kilograms of pinch pepper nut. Way too much. So if that ever runs down again, I'll just expand this room. It's at a nice 58 degrees. That's from the petroleum. And I also preheat the polluted water that goes in to about 50 degrees. It comes in over here at 37. It goes through some radiated pipe here, cooling down our petroleum generator. So we're using the waste heat to some good use over here. I could probably strip out this abyssalite and let this whole hot area heat this up, but I haven't bothered. And we got a small amount of automation here. The auto sweeper grabs the phosphorite and fertilizes, and then it grabs the pinch of pepper nut and sends it off up into the base this way. Pinch pepper nut goes, I forget where I put it. Oh, right here, into this area, which is full. This is all pinch pepper nut. Sitting in CO2 so it doesn't rot. Now they can get food poisoning germs, like this has food poisoning. But I don't care so much on the pinch pepper nut because then they cook it into food. Oh, I'm gonna pause the recording here so we don't have to wait through all the lag. And we're back. Okay. So cycle 4004. Nice palindrome there. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the pinch pepper nut is going up into this. Oh yeah, so I don't care if it gets germs because when they cook it into food up here, then it goes off back into the storage room where all the germs die. We still fried mushrooms in here. These are really old. Really, really old. Because I haven't had a mushroom farm in a long time. There's zero slime left on the map. Well, pretty close to zero. There might be a few little bits of it off here. Now, there used to be a bunch of wild growing pinch pepper nut here, but I didn't need it. So all I have left is this little room here, which I keep warm with a heater. And then there's another pinch pepper nut farm over here, wild growing. I thought I'd preserve some wild stuff. This is one of the last kind of warm areas. That's working pretty well. There's some hydrogen building up here, but someday maybe I'll deal with it. There's a pump here, but it's not really hooked up to anything. Oh, there's a little bit more wild pinch pepper nut right here. It says ice in here. I should probably move this ice and warm it up and use it. We got our massive storage room here, which, as you can see, what am I storing here? This is abyssalite, yeah. So we're drawing down. Actually, abyssalite shouldn't be drawing down, but we could probably put some other stuff in here. We've chewed through a lot of the igneous rock. The hatches have eaten it all up. So let's see. Raw mineral. We have. Oh, we only have 462 tons left. Interesting. Should probably deal with that. I could be making more dirt out of filtration medium, out of regolith. But I haven't bothered so much. We're getting dirt from a few sources here. We got one sieve right here. This auto sweeper just grabs the polluted dirt, sticks it in here, and the dupes come along and compost it. This is the bathroom water that I'm sending up here. I used to send it to some pinch pepper nuts right here, but I ripped all that out because it was just too complicated and didn't need all that pinch pepper nut. So now it just gets sieved, comes up here, and then gets dumped in our giant water tank. That's probably the biggest water tank I've ever built. It has an abyssalite bottom, so it's nice and strong. I think these can be 22 tiles high before it breaks. I've extended the tube network just so they can get around easier. There's a few access points. There's one here. There's one down here. So they generally come out of here from the exosuit dock, come down here, jump in the tube system and get anywhere they need to go. Uh-oh, the steam is coming up. Maybe I should deal with that. Okay, let's cap this all off. I'm gonna... What were the dupes doing in there? Okay, you get out of there first. And let's stop... Oh, let's stop dropping water in there first. Priority 9. I should put a valve on this so it's a little bit better. And then we're just going to cap this off with abyssalite. Priority 9. Because it's a small emergency. And then we'll just let this all condense. And I'm going to have to deal with it. It's probably all going to dribble down into this little corner here. Come on, dupes. Do it. Seal the breach. 52 kilograms of steam. Holy crap. Oh, now they're gonna go rest. There they go. One tile left. There we go. It's all sealed. Okay, so this will condense because it's not that hot out here. Let's put some more resorts in. Oh, and I'm gonna be right back after the game saves. Okay, I should probably put some more resorts in there. Gotta pause to build stuff. Granite, yes. Oops. Okay, that's probably enough. Cool all this down. That was a fun experiment. We got a lot of steam out of that. We could put a steam turbine in here, maybe. Actually use some of this, but they are a pain to build and maintain. Good way to destroy heat, though. Okay, there they go. Building away. They seem pretty happy. Ooh, steam. You'd think they'd like to go in there. Nice steam room. Except their skin would probably blister off at 106 degrees. Okay, now we got water everywhere. Oh, that was there before. This piece of water. Anyway, what else have we done? This craziness. I should probably straighten out my... Oh, I think I was using some oil pipes here from before. So we used all the oil, if that wasn't evident. Used all this up, used all this up. Turned it all on petroleum and burned most of it. Maybe I could explain this a little bit better here. So, some of this polluted water, well, some of it goes into the sieve, and we got 40-degree clean water coming out, and then we run it through this radiant pipe here to bring it down to close to 30 degrees using this cool polluted water. That's what goes up and feeds our bristle blossoms at 33 degrees. Used to be a little bit cooler, but I used to have some going in here for cooling, but that's all turned off. Comes up here, and we got a little bit of water here just for water coolers, which I have mostly disabled, but I think there's one that isn't. And then finally makes its way up here and feeds our 2 farms. Like I was saying earlier, we're getting dirt from those 2 sieves, polluted dirt, and then it gets turned into regular dirt, which is used for our fertilizer makers down here, which are chugging away. And we also have automation to grab the fertilizer, grab the phosphorite, feed these, grab the dirt, send it away up into, bring the fertilizer up to our grow rooms. This was getting a bit warm in here, but 60 to 55 degrees, 6 degrees is fine for this power room. There's automation at the bottom of these 2 things. This runs if the pressure gets too high and sends the polluted water back out. Some goes to our pitch pepper, but the excess goes down this way. Actually, goes this way. Oh my gosh, my piping. Goes and dumps back into the tank. If the water level gets too high, then it just closes this door so that the geyser doesn't overflow. It'd be okay if it overflowed though, because it would just end up down here. Oh, that cooled down nice and quickly. Look at that. I think what I might do here is put a metal tile, priority 9, right here. And that heat should get out and kind of even out and cool that steam back down. Oh, I should have paused. Now we gotta wait through the recording, the saving. There we go. We made it through without crashing. Okay, so that'll slowly cool down. I should probably dump some water in through here. Crack that open. Oh, maybe that was a bad idea. It'll cool down. These wheezeworts will be enough, I think. That tile is nice and hot though. And eventually we'll use this water for something. No, we don't really need it, but we have it. Nice, clean, purified water. Just making sure I kind of described or explained everything that I've done in here. Someone asked in the forums the other day how to keep these polymer press cool. And if you dribble a little bit of water below them, they stay nice and cool. But we don't need any more plastic. We don't need more plastic, we don't need more gold. We've kind of done everything we can do on this map. Let me zoom back out here so we can see everything that's going on. Sometimes I'll just watch them like this to see what they're doing, what they're up to. One thing that's kind of annoying with the deodorizers is that they'll drop little bits of clay, 10 kilograms of clay, and the auto sweepers actually tend to ignore that. I don't know why. Maybe it's not enough. Oh, that worked that time, but sometimes the auto sweeper will ignore it. Oh, they're all working now. Yeah, over here. I didn't describe this at all. This is polluted oxygen coming in from our 2 polluted oxygen vents. And it gets cooled, it gets deodorized, and it kind of just passively moves to the left here. Cooling and cleaning, and then by the time it gets to here, it's all clean. And we're killing, actually, it's just, there's no germs in it. There's germs in this vent here. Infectious polluted oxygen vent. What I'm doing here is sending it to this chlorine room where it sits in a gas reservoir. And it uses a time schedule and it traps it in here for most of the day. The germs die and then we pump it back out this way using a shut-off valve. So the automation for that, it's pretty simple. Shut-off valve turns on during the small active time and the gas can flow out. But I think this vent is dormant. Dormant for another 24 cycles. I've got this little pump here just circulating the chlorine in this room, just because it can pass by this heater and keep everything nice and evenly heated. Keep those guys and plants happy. But I think that's pretty much it. Maybe I'll show the room overlays. Got bedrooms, nice bedrooms. Got our washroom. Now these 2 bathrooms were enough for all 30 dupes, because we've got everyone on different shifts. We've got 5 shifts, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shifts. 5 dupes per shift. Evens things out. And they're all offset, so you can see downtime is kind of shifted over. What I should probably do is put the inmates, our 3 inmates, in a schedule of their own and just let them relax 90% of the time. They got the best life, actually. They don't have to do anything except occasionally run on the wheel. They're still alive. They got their food source. They got their little bit of entertainment. Now, none of them are set for art, so they can't really work on these paintings. Don't crash, game. There we go. I should probably wrap this video up, though. I think I've shown everything I want to show. Some sweepers here, grabbing clay. Now these guys they're staying alive. I don't know if it's a game bug, but we're not actually feeding the regular hatches anymore. Occasionally I feed them clay when I have it, but the stone hatches are eating igneous rock still while we have it, but I think they're able to pop out an egg before they die, so that's why they're sustaining themselves here. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Oh, see, they just picked up 10 kilograms of polluted dirt here. But the auto sweeper should have moved it from here to here, so I don't know what's up with that. Well, the compost is a lower priority. I think that is 6. So yeah, I think I'm going to wrap things up here. Hope you enjoyed that episode. More of a base tour than anything else. Not doing anything in space anymore. The regolith just collects up there. Occasionally I use sandbox mode just to delete it, which is a cheat, I know, but the lag gets kind of horrible otherwise. And I used to have my regolith crusher, if you go back a few videos, but that thing was causing major lag as well, so that's the base. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.